Love you, Linda. Love you.
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
One word prayer. Justice, where are you?
And welcome to Justice Serve TV. We are back in, no, not Dedham. No, not Canton. No, not Stoughton. But if you can see the sign between me and this lady who just wandered by and sat down, I have no idea who she is. Kim sat down here. Okay, all right, enjoy. That sign is Bentley. Is it University? They say yes, Bentley University. So why you may ask, is Justice Serve TV at Bentley University? What is going on? Well, you may know, you may not know that. Of course, we're here covering the Karen Read trial tomorrow, day 4 of the trial. Karen Read was an adjunct professor at this university teaching finance. So that is the connection to this case and to the person we're going to talk to here. You know, I think you're actually, shadowed by the pole. Do you like that, or do you want to get into some glaring sun?
You know, I'm good. As long as you're fine, I'm fine.
Let's see if I can.
I've been out in all sorts of elements during this Karen Read trial. I can tell you, this is beautiful. So.
I'm not. I did complain earlier about the heat, I have to admit, but I'll take it over.
Well, it's a little quick to be warm, but we've had pelting rain, slush, pouring rain, 90-degree weather. This is beautiful.
Oh yeah, this is Dina. So Dina is in the witness protection program, and she lives nearby here. That's all I can say. And so we thought, why not find a little location that relates to where she is and to, of course, the Karen Read trial, and that's why we are here. So everybody loves you. You know, once you've become, and I mean this in the nicest way, the loudest voice for the Karen Read movement. How do you feel about what's going on now in a whole whopping day 3 of this trial? Give me your general thoughts.
Well, we'll get about the buffer zone later. We'll talk about that. That's a whole other issue. But the defense is just breaking them down one brick at a time. I'm absolutely loving it. They're coming out with their fists swinging, and, Kerry Roberts is a liar.
You know, I talked about how I felt in the first trial when she was not cross-examined that she came off pretty good, especially compared to Jen McCabe, who, as I recall, Jen McCabe testified before her in the first trial.
Yes.
Obviously, that's not the case now. We think Jen McCabe is going to testify next week. Are you hearing anything different?
I'm waiting to hear something on the day so I can take it out of work, because I want to be down when Satan Spawn actually testifies.
So I have decided, and this is somewhat relating to the Bentley University, sort of, kind of, that Ms. Roberts is a graduate of the Jen McCabe School of Witness Preparation.
Oh my God. Can you imagine calling her the day of? The day of, she's going to testify that morning to say good luck. Yeah, like watch what you say is more like it, probably.
And remember, it was even worse than that, because it was day 2, because she came back, right? Mm-hmm. It was day 2 that she had a second call. The first time was a couple of days before, meaning on the eve of her first day of trial.
Can you, like, in any other case, can you imagine what the judge would say about that? I mean, they're not supposed to be talking to each other. I don't care if you're friends or not. It's not supposed to. That would be like me seeing a juror in the grocery store and just saying, "Hey, how are you? What's going on?" Do you know what I mean? It's not right, and I don't know how it's allowed.
Yeah, Judge C has said, as she must with her traditional admonishments, please don't talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. If you are still a sworn witness, you're not supposed to talk to anybody about the case.
Exactly, and I don't know how. Well, it's Auntie Bev, so the judge. So I don't even know how she's not punishing this or saying something about it. It's just like, the prosecution can do whatever they want, and the prosecution witnesses can do whatever they want. But if, Karen Read, God forbid, smiles a little bit, it's like, is something funny, Miss Read? You know what I mean? Like, it makes you really angry. Us people here in Massachusetts are really, really angry. I mean, around the world, they're angry too. They're seeing actually what's going on here, but we've been seeing this for a while.
Yeah, I was talking to Tom earlier because getting your guys' perspective is so important, because you're living it. People vicariously, either by covering it or watching it, they get a sense, but you guys are living it.
We live it, and we're boots on the ground is fighting for change and reform in police procedures, and freeing an innocent woman is the main thing, and justice for Boston Police Officer John O'Keefe. But we also, not only is Karen and her team going through hell, they're fighting and everything, but the people that speak out in this movement, we've been through hell. Now, people are seeing it in the world, and they're not thinking we're, jobless, crazy addicts that are just have nothing better to do. Like, now they're finally looking like, oh my God, I was at work today and I had multiple people walk up to me like, oh my God, I didn't even realize this. Like, Kerry Roberts is a liar. Like, that judge is terrible. And they didn't even watch the first trial yet. You think Cannoni's bad now. She's mild and meek right now compared to what she was before. And, and I spent the last few days saying to people, I 100% believe Karen Reed's innocent, but take that aside, whether you believe she's guilty or not. People should be outraged at the way this whole investigation went.
Or lack of investigation.
Well, yeah, lack of an investigation.
I've noticed all the the mainstreamers, the legacy media, they glommed onto that one moment where Kerry Roberts basically had to admit she was a liar, although she tried to soften it as best she could.
Yeah.
But that's those of us who have followed it, seriously followed it, are not all that surprised and know that that's sort of the tip of the iceberg from things we've seen.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I was down at the buffer zone when she was testifying, and I almost thought she was going to break at one moment. Like, I did. I mean, it was like she had to say something different, so it makes her a lie. I mean, she blatantly lied about what she admitted that Karen didn't say it, but Kerry made it say that she said it. Like, it's insane.
And you learn so much about the dynamic between some of these folks who are friends, I guess. But what kind of mealy, malleable person are you if someone like Jen McCabe can craft you to basically to lie under oath? What does that say?
It's what do all these people have on each other and the hold to have that kind of hold on somebody? Like, it's generational. Here in Massachusetts, we know this is generational, and it crossed the line of corruption. Everybody expects mild corruption, but to have a hold on people like this, I don't know what that golden egg is in their world that they have the hold on everyone. I really don't. It's insane, but then we here look back at look at the archdiocese, like what was the hold on all that? So it's not inconceivable.
By the way, the Pope died.
I know. Did he die on Easter or the next day?
It was the next day.
I know.
So this is a huge Catholic area, right?
Well, I'm Catholic. I'm not a practicing Catholic, but there is a huge population of Catholic people around here. A lot of people of Spanish descent are more into the religion, and it's very family oriented with church, where it seems like a lot of people in my generation kind of backed off after the whole debacle of the church.
So another wrinkle that'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. And your reference to the archdiocese here in this area. They're smack in the middle of it. Tomorrow, very interesting day because not everybody has been to 34 Fairview. Been there a few times myself. I'm assuming you've been there.
I've been there. I try to stay out of Canton as much as possible. But I did drive by there because what they show on TV during the first trial, pictures of 34 Fairview, you think you can play baseball in the front yard, when actually all you can do is turn the hose on and the water hits the street. It's really small. It's really small. There's no way, if a body was out there that long, that somebody missed it.
And we heard, Kerry Roberts' testimony suggested when Officer John O'Keefe was found, it was like the abominable snowman. He had heaping mounds of snow all over him with not a recognizable feature anywhere.
I mean, we're in New England. We get snow. I mean, we could get 4 inches of snow, and I'm walking down a Dunkin' Donuts in my flip-flops going to get an iced coffee.
Well, that's you.
But I mean, the way they made it seem like it was a blizzard. I survived the blizzard of 78. I know what a blizzard is. That was not a blizzard that night.
I remember it started at or about the time of the incident, 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then increased after that. I've just heard varying stories about how much snow would have been there at that time. So that's a question.
It's perception too. Like in police training, I remember them showing me the class a video, and in the video, everybody looks at what's going on in the video, and then you got to write down what you see, and everybody has a different thing of what they actually saw. You know, someone might say, "Oh, that had a red jacket on. That one had it. Well, it looked purple to me." Like everybody has a different perception. So people might have thought how much snow was out there, and people's measurements are off too.
And we did see the video, so you can kind of get a sense of it from the video. And speaking of those with different recollections and perceptions, you know, the first responder, Nutburger, Nuttall.
God.
I mean, he's got him wearing a quilt jacket. He's got, I mean,
he got a little bit of a smackdown, in my opinion, and this is my opinion. He's got a little bit of an arrogant ego.
You mean Dr. Nuttall?
Yeah, Dr. Nuttall, professor of all. I think he likes to hear himself talk, and in his mind, he makes sense of like what it is. I think he just told a story and he's gotten caught in his story. He embellished it. And, you know, I guess there's in the chats, people that have run into him during the hospital things, like people that work at the hospital have said he's an idiot. But I mean, that's just an opinion. But he just got a smackdown by the defense. I mean, I am so proud of Jackson, Yannetti, Liza, Alessi, however you want to say it.
I think he says Alessi, so I'm going with that.
However you want to pronounce
Mr. Brennan.
But that whole team, the students and everything, I mean, they're not playing around this time. And I love it. And I also love, right before when they were doing Peg O'Keefe's testimony, Brennan Spanky was interrogating her. I don't even know what to call it, questioning her. And I turned to Tracy Murray and I said, you know what would be like really cool if Alan Jackson got up and went like, we have no questions, because you really can't question her. She's a mother that lost 2 children. Regardless of how I feel about her personally, like, because I've been out on the buffer zone. I know with the bird how many times I've seen the bird come out. But as a mother, my heart, I can't imagine how your mindset is when you have to bury 2 of your children. There's no reason to break that woman on the stand. There isn't. She has no information. She wasn't there that night that everyone had, that everything happened. So there was no reason. And when he got up and said, he said, his condolences to her, and then said, we have no questions, I like jumped. I'm like, yes, that was the best thing you could have done.
Linda and I were talking about that because we both would have done the same thing for the reasons you mentioned. But he did something a little more interesting. I was thinking I would just get up, offer condolences. But if you don't suggest that you're going to be questioning the witness, then there may be some blowback before you get a chance to do that. So by his suggesting he had a couple questions and then standing up and just saying, best.
And it was that little moment of pause, like we were all like looking at the screen down in the buffer zone, like there was a few minutes of just dead silence. You could hear crickets chirping, and then he said that, and I was like, class act move. Don't go out. She's a mother, regardless of whether I like her personally or not. I mean, I don't know her, I just know about the trial. She's still a mother that lost 2 children.
And their family is still, in my opinion, being victimized because they don't have, at least they don't have solid evidence of who may have killed their son.
Well, as a mother, me speaking personally for myself, if I'm a mother and if something happened to my child, I would go to the ends of the earth to get every single bit of information of what happened to my child. That's my concept of, I don't understand why they're not doing that family. It's not just one, it's all of them. Like, I just don't understand that. And, when this trial ends and Karen is free, which she will go free because she's innocent of this, and, because the FBI hired ACA, when it all comes out, they're going to get a really hard lesson. And it's going to be really sad that they let all this time go by and for the justice of their child. It's, I'll be out in the streets jumping when Karen's free, but it's still, that's going to be a really hard pill for them to swallow after all the actions, as supporters, we've been out there. We've made mistakes out there as supporters. Like I've said before, no one handed us a book of how to do this. But we've owned up to some of the stuff that we've done, but they haven't. And they're in for a hard lesson. I mean, how can Paula Keefe walk around with, all the stuff that came out about him and
I'd just be so mad.
I would, I would be mad too, but I mean, actions, you gotta live up to what actions.
It just seems like the family has fallen in line with what the prosecution has told them.
I don't like the drinking the Kool-Aid. I don't understand. People in the world in the beginning of the first trial, they thought we were all drinking the Kool-Aid. We were nuts. We like, what is wrong with these deranged Massachusetts people out there? Like, what is wrong with them? And now they're starting to see why we've looked at this stuff through Aiden. Thank God for Aiden. We have seen this stuff and really looked at it. And people don't just put their lives aside to support a woman that they don't know and push. We've sacrificed our family, our jobs, and everything because we're fighting the good fight. But it's mind-boggling to me. Now the world's seeing what we're fighting for, so we need everybody out there to keep on voicing.
And as I've said many times, you guys feel that Karen Read is the symptom of a greater disease. Sandra Birchmore, et cetera, et cetera. So you mentioned Aiden. I saw Aiden this morning on the steps as I was infiltrating the buffer zone and recording. I had some press passes on, and so they didn't arrest me. Anyway, to Linda Kenny Bodden's disappointment. But I was able to talk to Aiden for just a brief moment here. And one of the things we talked about was the jury view, which is tomorrow. And if I can do this, I'm actually in the shade right now, so I can see a little bit about what I'm trying to present. You're basking in some sun there.
I am. I can take it.
And so hold on, let's see if I can find it. I don't know, Missy, if you can bring that up. It's there we go. Now, one of my favorite activities, reading on television. This is the order regarding the protocol for the media tomorrow for the jury view. As you can see, it is going to be in the morning, which is very interesting. I don't think it's going to be before sunup. I'm guessing 9-ish, but I don't know. It's going to be in accordance with their favorite rule, 119, in this case, sub 2, sub B, which means, of course, don't show the jury, don't photograph the jury, don't do anything that might reveal who the jury is. That's common and common sense. No person shall contact, follow, interview, and that means you, Dina, interview or communicate in any way with a juror prior to the discharge. Again, no kidding. And during the view, this is most important, individuals governed by this order will remain at least 100 yards away from the jurors. And knowing that neighborhood, as I do, you've been there, that's 300 feet. That's easily a block.
Yeah, they're going to block it off at the end of that road. I think they did the last time, put barriers right there.
Yeah, and that's I have no problem with that. I would never go out there with a recording device and try and disrupt that or reveal somebody's identity. But I do want to be there to observe and report just the procedure. They brought a bus, and off the bus were the attorneys, and then on a second bus were the jurors, because they should have separate accommodations for travel. Jurors and the attorneys and their folks. So that's what I'm going to be there to try and ferret out in the morning without violating this little rule. I have no interest in doing that. How important do you think a jury view is?
Oh, I think it's hugely important, especially after the first trial with all the pictures that they showed that it was very deceiving. So it's really important. It's really important to see that road too, because they think Karen went flying backwards and Aiden reenacted it. You can't even go. You can't do it. You cannot do it. And what was it? Trooper Paul did it in a parking lot or something like that. It's foolishness, but
there's been some talk that, the road itself is somewhat undulating and, they make it sound like it's a roller coaster at Six Flags, but it's got a little bit of up and down here and there, but that's about it. And when I went out there and did the drive from 34 Fairview to 1 Meadows, just to give folks, to give them a sense of the path and to talk about the fact that Karen Read's cell phone connected to the Wi-Fi there at 1236. How is that possible if Jen McCabe is saying, I'm looking out the window at 1245, and there she is. Something ain't right. But I wanted to get that sense. And the number one comment people had was, I can't believe that front yard is so small.
I know.
How do you not see anything that's out of the ordinary if
Right.
you're coming or going from that house?
When you are in front of that house and you see where the flagpole is and like the electrical box thing, like and the fire hydrant and the bushes, it's there's no way. I'm going to tell you something. Lucky Laughran is a stand-up blue collar, knows his job, and God forbid an animal would get hurt. There is no way him driving in the Frankenstein that he would miss that. There isn't. And he's not a lie, and he's not a liar, unlike Kerry Roberts.
By the way, Frankenstein is the snow blower, snow plow that
Snowplow.
he drives, which I guess is concocted of a number of different parts, hence the name Frankenstein. And he came across very well as a witness.
Oh my God! You know, Lucky in this is a hero. He's a stand-up blue collar guy that told the truth, and you could tell he didn't hesitate about anything. He knows his job. He's proud of his job, and that's a blue collar worker. When you get out there and you do your work and you're proud of your work, you don't want anyone to differ from what you and make something up about what you did, saw, or how you performed your job. And I kudos to Lucky for standing up.
And he wasn't called by the prosecution.
No. And you wonder why. You know, I have nothing good to say about Hank Brennan. Nothing.
Oh, come on.
Nothing at all. That's Spanky. I want to know whose bright idea it was. Like, seriously, like, here's the trial. We're all talking about corruption. And some head honchos sit at a table and say, why don't we hire Whitey Bulger's lawyer and just throw another wrench into the corruption of Massachusetts? Like, whose bright idea was that?
Yeah, I do wonder what the thought process was. I think he is a skilled attorney. He may be a douchebag at times. He may push the line and may go over the line, but I think he's skilled. He's a skilled professional. But he brings a lot of baggage.
Yeah, I'm not going to say nothing nice about Spanky. I can say David Yannetti is skilled. I can say Alan Jackson is skilled. I can say Liza is completely skilled. Alessi is just like the god of all skills. It's there. I don't understand, as a taxpayer in Massachusetts, we have the prosecution department. Why do we need to hire these special things like Ken Mello? Like, that guy just walked off with $75,000, $80,000, I think it was.
And I believe that whoever's calculating, Brendan's up to $220 now or something like that.
That was like 2 months ago. He's up to $225,000. So it's got to be at least $400,000 by now.
I thought they had a certain budget, and then they were going to have to get approval to go beyond that.
Yeah, it was $75,000 cap. He said he'd do the trial for $75,000, and he's way past that. Like, I want to stop paying my taxes at this point. You know what I mean? I do. Oh, and in the buffer zone, this just,
we haven't talked about the buffer zone yet.
You know me, in my head, stuff pops up, and I just got to say it immediately. That's ADHD at its finest. The gentleman that's running against Michael Morrissey came down to the buffer zone. I didn't meet him. The girls that were set up in the assigned lot, the parking lot along Route 1, it's the Dedham parking area. He came down and sat with them for a while. He gave out stickers and everything. They took their pictures with him. So there is somebody running against Michael Morrissey. And for the life of me, I can't remember his last name. It begins with a B, though.
When is the election?
Next year.
Next, as in
I
a
don't
year
know
from November?
It's next year.
Okay.
I can't answer because I don't know.
And we were talking about another authority figure that's leaving the office.
Helena, rack 'em up. You're a loser, Rafferty. You ain't getting no kitchen, woman. If anybody knows, Helena Rafferty wanted like $200,000+ to redo the kitchen in the Canton Police Department. Let me tell you, I've been to the Canton Police Department because I filed charges against Chris Albert and for wiretapping. But anyways, the Canton Police Department is a beautiful police department. Like, I don't even understand why you would need another kitchen because it's beautiful. They must have had $500 worth of Christmas decorations in there. But anyways, the citizens of Canton who have been out fighting, Brenda Sweeney, Dennis Sweeney, Rita Lombardi, there's plenty of them. They were backing Sue Harrington, who was running for a select board chair, and they hammered it. They were out, rain, sunshine, snow, didn't matter. They were getting the paperwork signed. And they fought to get Sue Harrington in there, and Sue Harrington won in a landslide. So goodbye, John Conley. You know, but and the first thing, like the first really meeting that they had to do was on Helena Rafferty's renewal of her contract. I lose words sometimes. And she is officially retiring as of June 30th. I don't know if she got any, like, I guess she got out her vacation time and stuff like that. I don't really know all the details, but to the people of Canton, Massachusetts, kudos to you guys. You guys are slowly, one brick at a time, taking them down and bringing your town back to what you guys actually wanted. And I've heard through the grapevine that a lot of people that were quiet in Canton are sort of, they can't believe things are starting to change. So that kudos to Brenda and Dennis and Rita and, oh my God, like all of them out there, Eric, John Camo, like all of them that have really been fighting for Canton.
Let's talk about Aiden real quick. He's filed a motion. As you recall, the broad sequestration issue order that was issued initially included him because he was made a witness.
Mhm.
Sure, he's going to testify, but it was one way to keep him out of the mix.
We knew what was going on with that. We knew immediately.
And to keep him from watching even, right? Not just being in the courtroom, but watching. So that was addressed pre-trial, and it was determined that he, in fact, could remain in the courtroom, except, and then there were some exceptions, just like the first time. But the exceptions were very finite the first time. It was more about those that had accused him of intimidation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they broadened it this time, and because of that, Aiden is bringing a motion to basically turn it back into what it was the first time, because they have the kids on the list now. They have John Proctor on the list now, people that there's no way he should not be allowed to cover.
Those are the free Karen Reed supporters. With Aiden, one, thank you, Aiden, for all that you've done for starting this. But Bev just wants to keep him out. Not only Bev, the Commonwealth just wants to keep him out of there. They want to hammer him his way for his journalism to be public. They wanted, like, his Facebook got cut off and everything. Like they're swarming in to try to quiet him down. And Aiden's not going to stand for that. Aiden's got some great lawyers. He's got Betterow and Bradel, the Killer Bees. And Aiden is he's so strong, and he's fighting the good fight too. And they made it broad in order so that they can pick and choose on however they feel for the day to try to shut him down. So I'm grateful that he's doing this. So, like, it's got to be in writing. We want, as Aiden would say, receipts. Put it in receipts who you exactly don't want him in there for.
And that's what happened, and that's what the problem is. It seems like there was a hearing, and it was discussed, and the reference in court was similar to what it was the first time. Mm-hmm. And yet, when the order came out, it had all kinds of other stuff sprinkled in, as I mentioned. So it sounds underhanded. I don't know what happened. Was it just a miscommunication? I don't know.
Well, anything to try to shut Aiden down will always be a miscommunication. They're going to pull out any card that they can to try to quiet Aiden. Aiden will not be quiet. Aiden, no matter what, he will fight tooth and nail for what is right. So I'm glad that they filed this. I really am glad, because it needs to be 100% of what they're saying that they don't want him in there for, and then go from there. Not this scope of things. So Bev can, if she didn't have her White Claw that day, she can hammer down on Aiden. You know what I mean? It's disgusting to watch what's going on. It truly is. It's not just Aiden. It's everything. The buffer zone, Aiden, how people testify. You can't say FBI. You can't say this about ACA. You can't, like, growing up, I mean, I wasn't the greatest student, but I thought you could go to any means to try to prove that you're not guilty of a crime. Like, everything should be at your hands to do that.
Let's talk about a couple of different things. The buffer zone I want to talk about. I want to update folks on the 3 lawsuits that have spun out of that, because there have been some recent developments. So I'm looking at the buffer zone today, and the way it's laid out, for those who can't recall, they've extended it to oblivion on one side. I mean, it goes so far. What I'm going to do tomorrow, I decided I'm going to take another driving video. They're very popular when I do driving videos with it. I'm not in them. I'm just talking as I drive. But I was amazed. I went down through the neighborhoods this time when I left instead of going just High Street and all the way out. Beautiful homes, just amazing homes that have been there for decades, centuries probably, right?
Ben Franklin stayed in there, Thomas Jefferson. I mean, they're gorgeous old homes with beautiful trees that are hundreds of years old. It's a beautiful small town.
And so along most of those streets are these massive, ugly construction, no parking cones, and they extend well past the buffer zone, well past it.
All the way down. So it goes. Last year for the buffer zone, we could be by that white church. The white church didn't want us there. In court, Bev read a letter saying how they have the farmers market. So last time we had the trial, the farmers market was on Wednesdays. So they were trying to put in, and we were like, oh yeah, they would have made a ton of money off of us. I mean, I don't understand this, but whatever. So this time Bev put in about the farmers market, how we interrupt it, and all this other stuff. Well, this year, there's a big sign out in front of the church. The farmers market is on Saturdays. There's no court on Saturdays. So that was just a big lie right there. But they extended it past the edge of the church, down the road. So down the road, all the way to the set of lights that's at the very end of that road is all those construction cones. So you can't park a car on either side, all the way down. You're talking about, it's not made for parking cars really, but we we do something.
It's kind of a grassy area there.
And so there's a little, grass on the knoll there at the end where we could go, but you'd have to walk from the registry of deeds all the way to the set of lights in order to go to that grassy knoll in order to demonstrate. So you can't even park there.
Yeah. And those cones extend into those neighborhoods.
Into the neighborhoods. Some of the neighbors have been really wonderful to us, and others jog by and tell us to go F ourselves, we're assholes, get a job, all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's their community. I don't understand it because we're not the type of protesters that are destroying the place. We pick up our trash at the end of the day. We pick up probably the joggers' trash or their dog poop at the end of the day. But it really, that whole end, everybody goes there in the morning because that's how Karen comes in. But the sidewalk is there. It's very small. There's big dirt there. There's always a puddle that never dries out. And they put up these Ringling and Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus metal grates there that makes you feel like you're an elephant trapped at the circus. So we do go down there. We make the best of it like we always do. And then when Karen leaves, a lot of people now leave to go home to watch everything because it's not like last year. We don't have what we had last year. So then everybody that stays goes all the way down to the other end because you're right after district court and you can see the court, the Superior Court from there. And we were sort of gathering there, and there wasn't more than probably 30 people actually. And that goes back down. And everybody was hanging out, excuse me, by a dance studio that's right there. You can no longer do that. They came down the other day very graciously and with the Dedham police officer and said that no longer on their property whatsoever. And then the Dedham, the guy walked away that's with the dance studio. He said we were scaring the kids. They were scared to pull in. And then the Dedham cop then put in that we are not to be on the sidewalk. We have to disperse evenly down the sidewalk, not to break it, not to block it. And if anybody remembers, anytime we were on the sidewalks, this trial and last trial, anyone jogging, coming down the road, we yell sidewalk, and that everybody knows to clear it and make a hole. They're 2-hour parking there, so you really can't park there because the parking enforcement people have to give you a ticket if you don't move your car within 2 hours. So they're slowly pushing us back to get rid of us.
So I want to point out that when they grew the zone, it was really on one side. That's the side past the church. The other side is where it was before, and as you say, you could see the dome of the courthouse. It's not too far away. I think last time I was here, I broadcast from there. Yeah. Today I was inside the zone.
Awesome. You got in the zone.
I got in the zone.
We'll have to get you a T-shirt made out like you made it in the zone.
Survived the zone, at least so far. I keep trying to hang up on this person, but they seem to. Maybe it's the Canton police. Anyway, so that seemed to be a better place to gather. But I know that maybe in addition to the dance school issue, somebody else made some sort of complaint.
all the businesses down there don't want to. They don't want us hanging out in front of their business.
But as Tom said, and as you mentioned with the farmers market, they're not exactly being swamped with business.
No, they've always blamed us for the traffic in Dedham too. That traffic in Dedham has been like that for ages, folks. It has nothing to do with the Karen retrial, let me tell you. But the businesses, they're trying to push us back more and more and more. And every business that we're going to end up in front of is going to complain. Eventually, they're going to make people mad. As the trial goes on, more people are going to come down because they're going to hear of what is actually going on and understand it. They're going to be outraged. They're going to come down. And it's going to get broken. And, we as supporters that have been down there the whole time, we're not the police. We are not policing the people anymore. Most of the cops know most of our faces from down there, and they know we don't cause any trouble. They know if they say, "Hey, move on," we do. But there's going to be people that are going to come down and break that, and it's going to get ugly. And then it's almost like they're trying to entice people to break the buffer zone rules, to give it a bad name. Us, boots on the ground, we're not giving it. We prided ourselves on last year of no one getting arrested and protesting in a manner that was respectable, showing people you can use your voice. They're trying to turn this and make us look bad.
Tom says nobody skinned a knee. That's how you describe it.
No, there's a lot of love down there, and people that are coming down, a few people that came down were disappointed when they came down. People, it's not the same as it was last year. That's a one and done. It really is. You can come down and support Karen, but we're not running around with pom-poms. We don't have coolers full of food. We're not feeding 400 people. It's just not like that this time.
And that's because they've squashed it.
They squashed it. They violated our rights as far as I'm concerned and squashed it. I'm really mad about that. But how do you be mad and fight this big machine that's just stomping on our rights? It's hard. We do the best that we can, but it's still very hard.
Well, sometimes you file lawsuits, which let me give an update to those who may not recall where we are with the process. Yeah. 3 lawsuits filed, one on behalf of 4 protesters who like to stand in what is now the buffer zone. Wasn't before. I guess they used to do it. It's on the lawn right in front of the courthouse.
They used to just protest Bev Canoni.
And yes.
It wasn't, they are Karen Reed supporters, but they were out there on days there was not trials protesting against Bev Canoni.
Yeah, and so that's I call that lawsuit number 1. Lawsuit number 2 is Tom, CPU, and I as journalists being shooed away from the buffer zone, public sidewalk right across from the courthouse. And then number 3 is Mr. Delgado, who was with me at the time I was recording and has his badge unceremoniously ripped from his clothing, which is just outrageous, the arrogance. Anyway, those are the 3 suits. The first suit, the protesters filed for a TRO, temporary restraining order, and it gets kind of weird because you think, well, what do they want to restrain? It's talking about restraining the enforcement of the zone. So the protesters file looking for relief from the enforcement of the zone, a temporary restraining order that prevents that. That was rejected. That has been appealed, okay? The journalist, case number 2, also filed a temporary restraining order request with our judge, 3 different judges, 3 different courts, and she has done nothing. She sat on it. So we filed a request to present what's called an amicus brief, which is like, let's glom onto, let's kind of piggyback on the protesters' case because their TRO has already been denied and it's now up on appeal. So we want to get in on that action to just short circuit this pocket veto that our judge is seeming to employ. Just sit on it and do nothing. Well, when that happened, the defendants, which is the state of Massachusetts in one form or another, court officials, state troopers, they filed a motion to stay all proceedings. That was granted yesterday. So while the temporary restraining order in case 1 is on appeal, briefings are due May 4th. The temporary restraining order stay against us goes through May 14th or until the court on that appellate case issues a ruling. So it's not indeterminate. We got some hard dates, but it's still going to be 2.5, 3 weeks from now before anything happens to give relief officially from being able to do what we do. Now, I went in today, had my little badges on. They seemed to accept it without looking at them and caring. I could have made them up at home. Could have cranked them out on my printer. They're legit, though, from everything from the California Highway Patrol to the Manhattan police. So
I'm going to wear an Aerosmith backstage pass and see if I can get in. I can't make it through there. They know who I am.
yeah, that might not
They
work.
know who I am. I am trying to get a media pass, but by the time I get it, the trial will be over.
Talk about pocket vetoes. We made a second request because they denied our first one because we're primarily YouTube, and that to them is not media.
Right.
Don't get me started on how that fits within the definition of their own Rule 119. Anyway,
Channel 5 is not journalism or media. Channel 5 is terrible. They're just biased to the McAlberts, so they shouldn't have a media pass neither.
I think everybody should. Free speech for everybody.
Free speech for everybody.
And if the more I disagree with you, the more I'm going to fight that you get to say what I disagree with. So let's talk about what's happening, what's coming up. Because Friday's been a back and situation. First, it was the jury view. Then it was, I want those ACA people here on Friday. You know, we're going to have that voir dire.
The good accents. You're like, park the car,
Yeah.
ACA.
I try not, it just kind of slips in because it's a very infectious accent. I don't do it to, it's not denigrating. It's just, it's a regional thing.
It cracks me up when people in the chats are like, I love your accent. And I'm like, I don't really
What accent?
have it, but whatever.
Well, so, coming from California, we're not allowed to have any accents. That's just the law there in California.
Can you really do anything in California anymore?
No.
Unless
That's
you are homeless.
That's a whole different story, and don't get me started. So, it's my home state is not so hospitable anymore. Anyway, so we now know that for Friday, the view is back on because the ACA people could not make it tomorrow. They're going to come on Monday. Well, I'm going to talk about your thoughts on what may play out that day. Tomorrow is going to be the view in the morning at some time, not disclosed officially. And then they're going to have a witness that has been described as Mr. Sleepy, Mr. Boring, one of the worst medical witnesses they've had. He's, I believe, a Dr. Fowler. Do you recall Dr. Fowler?
I remember the name.
Was he one of the ER docs or one of the docs there that night?
I think he was the doctor that night at Good Sam's, wasn't he?
I think so.
Confusing.
So he apparently is lined up for tomorrow as well. That I got that from Aiden.
My allergies are bad.
It is horrible, isn't it? But look how lovely. Look at those lovely blossoms.
I know the blossoms are beautiful. But
yes.
I'm excited about the Crash Daddies coming back because they, I want to see how the words are put in the court too. Because before they couldn't say they were hired by the FBI. Everyone thought it was Karen's insurance company and stuff. So this testimony is going to be off the hook.
And that's why I've always said when it comes to this issue, I've wrestled with whether it was a good idea for the defense to officially retain them as opposed to just saying, we'll just go with the reports you presented last time because they're pretty damn good. And we can clearly say we didn't do it. Now it's all muddy. And now the court's all in a tither about it. And she's going to, work hard, I think, to limit. I don't think she's stupid enough to prevent their testimony, but limit it. What do you think?
Well, you know what? People can feel it's kind of muddy. That's the first muddy thing they've really done. So Hank Brennan's done everything muddy. But there's no denying. It doesn't matter what happens. They're going to try to put a thumb over ACA. They're just going to because they know how damaging it is. But when that jury finds out it's the FBI that hired them in the first place, doesn't even matter. They can say, oh, well, no one was going to pay the bill but this one. You know what I mean?
That's why I say once you open that door, let it all come in.
The truth will set them free. So keep on telling the truth.
Let them know that the feds hired these guys for a related investigation. You don't have to go into the specifics of that. Related investigation, totally independent. After they finish their work, the defense retained them and may or may not have had them do some additional testing. Just do it that way and let the prosecution, knock themselves out to try and break that down. I
think they're going to come out like that.
I don't know if she's going to let them testify about anything other than what was testified the first time.
I don't know. Bev was a little. She's not, if you remember watching the first trial, she's not as interruptive as she has been before. I don't know. The defense is going to come out with if she tries to halt this, they're going to get it in some way or another. They're not playing around. And I'm sure they have gone over every single scenario it is of what Bev's going to say. I'm sure they're doing practice things of what's going to happen. They're going to get it in. There's going to be, something's going to happen. They're going to get it in. Someone's going to slip and get it in.
And, it's going to play out so differently this time because it's almost like there are going to be three chunks to this trial. Normally there's the prosecution. big chunk. And then there's the defense, and then maybe there's a small rebuttal case. I think the Commonwealth's rebuttal case is going to be so big that it's going to take a long time. I mean, proportionately, I can see prosecution a third, defense a third, rebuttal a third.
Yeah. I personally don't think this trial is going to last that long.
I don't know how long it's going to last in total. I just think it's going to be all
I mean, we just
pared
had
down.
6 witnesses in 3 days.
Yeah, but only a couple of them were substantive. A couple of them were like,
No, they
I
weren't,
run the
but
bar,
but
I got the video.
I ran the bar.
Yeah.
Actually, CF McCarthy's been wonderful to everybody that stopped in there. All of us have frequented. I have just on 2 occasions. I don't go to Canton that much. But people have gone in just to see. I mean, they got people from out of town coming in. They're really nice. I've been to the waterfall too, which is really small. But going back to that, because we know I can stray off. I don't think Bev's going to be, I think she's going to let some stuff in. And all it takes accidentally on purpose is to one person to say FBI. Accidentally on purpose.
Well,
And then it's in.
we'll see if that happens, and because that is a whole different animal once that, because now you're talking about the underlying investigation and what was the cause of that, and we haven't even talked about the Proctor factor. The Proctor factor is very different this time, very different.
Fired. Your butt was fired, Proctor. We actually protested out on South Boston too last year, trying to get Proctor fired. What a disgrace. What a disgrace. And he's going to be the sacrificial lamb to all of it. It's all going to be, Proctor wrote that in his report. I didn't say that to Proctor. Proctor lied because now he's dubbed as a liar, loser.
Well, if that happens, they're counting on the jury sanitizing the prosecution because of what Proctor did.
Yeah.
Totally distancing themselves from that. Yeah. Good luck.
Good. Yeah. Good luck. Someone's going to spill the beans in this. I mean, I think Proctor honestly is a big baby. Honestly, I don't think he's, you think of Mass State Police are these big tough people and stuff. I think Proctor's just a wimp. I mean, calling his sister every day to get what kind of socks he's got to wear in the morning. I really think in the end, I think Proctor's going to break. I really do. It might take a while. I mean, these people are, like I said, I don't know what the golden egg is, but there's something there. I really think he's going to end up spilling beans. He's going to get so mad. He's lost his job, lost his pension, lost all that. His wife can't buy Louis Vuitton bags no more. His wife can't call People's Works to try to get them fired. I really think they're going to end up during this trial throwing everything on Proctor, and that's when he's going to break and be like, I'm not taking the rap for all of this.
He'll stand up, big dramatic Matlock moment.
No, he'll probably bend on his knees and cry and tell his priest or something, and his priest will bring him in. I think he's going to break. I can't wait for Higgins and Satan's spawn child, Jennifer McCabe.
And we hear again, who knows for sure? The court, I think, has asked the parties to give her like a 2-witness heads up. So that makes it at least more likely we'll also hear a couple of witnesses ahead who's to come, which will be great.
Well, Jen's got to make a lot of phone calls to people. She's busy. She's got to write it in to make sure she calls each morning to wish them luck.
She has a very full class in the Jen McCabe School of Witness Preparation. I called the school. I tried to get in, but they're full up. They're full up to the end of the trial.
There's just, what is it, like 75 witness people that are on the prosecution's thing. He's ain't going to call them all, but Jen, I mean, how can the judge not even have a look about her when she heard that? She called you this morning? Like, I just don't get it.
I mean, some of those things, as an attorney, you're asking, because there's some answer of some period of time. This morning, I mean...
I mean, they must have just looked like how long, I want to know how long the phone call was too. Was it just, good luck?
Now that they know it exists, depending on what it was, if it was a cell phone, I mean, who knows? There may be some surprise testimony on that front. It would be very interesting.
I can't wait for the world to see that really haven't followed this case when they see Higgy up there saying that he destroyed his phone by bringing it to the military base down the Cape. That is just going to blow people away.
When we saw it the first time, I mean, he was one of the worst witnesses because the things he did are so outrageous and he could not acknowledge them. He came up with some hypothetical when he was pressed about taking his phone to the Cape, to that base, taking his SIM card out, breaking it, all that whole thing.
Mm.
He turns and the judge, as she likes to do when there's an objection, she likes to re-ask the question because if
Mhm.
she does, it's somehow cloaked with perfection. So she asks the question, and he says to her, well, Your Honor, if I were to do something like that's probably how many freaking times have you done this, dude, that you have a whole plan
A lot of times.
without admitting that
Yeah.
he did it this time? It's crazy.
You can't make this stuff up. And that's what got people mind, but like, how can all this happen? Like, you can't make up this stuff. Like, Higgins was an ATF agent. Well, I think he still is.
Yeah, I was he retiring or going on hiatus?
He's probably working for that PI guy in Boston. That I think they're all going over there. Brian Albert, all of them. But he's like, he looks like, what was that? Magilla Gorilla. That's what he reminded me of. Like, he just comes
That's
up.
really kind of an insult to McGilla.
Well, it is kind of, because Magilla Gorilla was really a good guy.
Yeah.
Higgins is not. But I don't understand why the training to become an ATF agent and stuff, and you, like, what does his fellow brothers in blue think of him disposing cell phones down at military bases in the incinerator? Like, it's sad. It's sad the state that we're in right now. It's really sad seeing all this shit come out when you grew up respecting the police. Sometimes they got a little rough, but this is like way beyond. And I think the defense is going to come out with some huge bombs dropped, because a lot of stuff didn't come out till after the first trial.
Yeah, I mean, like the inverted video. So yeah, I would not be surprised. What I would try a case, I would always say a surprise a day. That was kind of my plan.
I'm waiting. Like I sit and watch it when I'm down there. I can't at work. I have to rewatch everything because I can't have my phone at work. But I sit on the edge, like every time they talk, like, is it coming? Is it, tick, tick, boom, But
okay, so now we've got a little bit of something next week, maybe, that will be interesting. Tomorrow, The View will be interesting just because it's important.
right.
We're not going to get to really share that experience, but it is important. Then we get into Jen McCabe next week, we believe. And then we really get into the heart of the case.
I got Tuesday off.
Was that your day?
Every Tuesday is my day to live stream down there for Resistance to Silence. That's the stream I'm on, along with Dylan from Alternative Corner. So every Tuesday is my day to stream down there. There's a team of us that are streaming every day to help bring it. We have voices in this movement, and we want to keep the movement out there because we 100% support Karen. And like I said, Sandra Birchmore, Enrique Delgado Garcia, the list goes on, just en route. There's a lot of stuff that we're fighting for, and that's why some of us speak out so much.
It's a disease, at least from what I've seen. And as I say, thank you very much. As I we tried to get closer to the traffic, but I didn't have any traffic cones with me.
Someone did yell out "Free Karen."
All of the traffic cones are in use over by the courthouse. But if somebody wants to come on Justice Serve TV, where we're just looking at this case and saying, have you met your burden, Mr. Prosecutor? That's our position. And we see things that suggest no. But you got to come on. You want to promote Ms. Proctor? You want to come on? Elizabeth, right? Is that what Elizabeth?
Oh, yeah.
Lizzie? You want to come on and talk about your husband, your case, how you feel this should play out? I have not found one person in the days I've been here that supports the prosecution. And I've asked and I've looked. I don't see anybody. I don't hear from anybody.
Well, look at how many days have we been to trial now, and not one. We call them blue shirts. Not one blue shirt has shown up. Not one to stand out there. Who knows? That sounded like a swear word, but anyways, where are the people for? I mean, they all act like we don't back the blue and we're not for justice for Officer John O'Keefe. It's not true. We've said it a million times, but if they are so adamant about they stand behind Boston Police Officer John O'Keefe, where are you? Where's one person? They've watched the trial from last year when we were all we're not mean people. They had the food stamp 5, which are a mess right now. Those are the only ones that really came out, and all of them, they got court orders. They were going to court and everything else. None of them are out there. We do have signs down there that say we want justice for Boston Officer John O'Keefe. we support them. We're not anti-police, but where are the people? Where is that side to speak out? I mean,
I've not seen it. You live here and haven't seen it.
the immediate family of John O'Keefe don't even have to. I can understand they're in the middle of a trial and stuff, but what about their friends? Where are your friends' friends? Like, why are none of you speaking out for everything? They don't. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I have not seen it. So luckily, the Karen Reed folks have you. That is, next time, try not to be, so shy about, your opinions and where we are in this process.
Well, you know what? We're fighting for something that we truly believe in, and there's a bunch of us that speak out. And believe me, we've gotten hammered for it. It's not easy speaking out like this. Last year, since this all happened, I used to get followed by the Mass State Police down the highway. They've pulled up to taking my picture. That's eased off a bit, but anytime I go out, I have to check the tires on my car and make sure my car hasn't been messed with every morning when I go out to work, because people have had their tires sliced. Just the other day down there, Erica had her truck keyed down, the whole entire truck. People do mess with our cars. They mess with our lives. They call our jobs. They find out where you work. They do bad reviews. They dox you. I've been doxed. We're sitting here in Waltham, Massachusetts, home of Aerosmith Warehouse, Bentley College. You all people already know, so I'm not going to be shy about it. It's hard on us, but it's not as hard as what Karen's going through. You know what I mean? So we're going to fight. We're going to fight to the end. We're not giving up until she's free and we find out what really happened to Boston police officer John O'Keefe.
And I hope someday we do, because it just doesn't look good at the moment. I'll tell you that.
With the tainted evidence of, Michael Proctor and the rest of all of them with the inverted videos and everything, it might not happen. And I never want to see this ever happen again to another police officer. Ever. I don't want it to see it to happen to anybody. It could be any one of us, anybody that it could happen to. People ask me all the time if I knew Karen before this. No, I didn't. I didn't. I had no clue who she was, but I knew the minute I didn't see evidence tape and they didn't search that house that could have been a hit on, Brian Albert, who was on the fugitive task force. That could have been a hit, and they didn't check on their family. I knew right there.
That was just the beginning. Everything unspooled from there. Dina, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Thank you for coming to Waltham. And if you ever want to know about Aerosmith, come on back. I'll take you to the warehouse.
This is yet another stop in my is this all the same county?
No,
Canton?
we're in Middlesex.
You're in
County.
That's a better county? You don't have some of the issues?
You
got different issues.
Everybody has issues no matter where they live. But I thank you for letting us have a voice on here. And everybody in the movement, come on out and talk. You can come on anytime and voice your opinion. And just pray for the people at Canton. Pray for Karen's whole team. Pray for the O'Keefe family that they finally see the light. And let's just hang in there. Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate it.
So tomorrow, what we'll do is just stay put there for just a second.
Right.
Just sit there. Tomorrow we'll come on at some point. Depends on this jury view, when that is and when it plays out. So Missy and Dizzy will have that all kind of figured out. Look at everybody saying hello to you there.
Hi, I know. I don't have my blue glasses.
Preach,
Hi,
Dina.
Preach.
Preach, Dina. Let's see while I've got you here, let me see if I missed any questions, because I can't see very well. That's the bottom line.
I can't either. I don't have my blue glasses.
I have no such excuse. So if I missed some questions, and I'm confident I did, we'll try and catch those as we move into tomorrow. Again, jury view, and then Dr. Fowler, a reputed boring witness. Okay, that's what we're hearing.
Boring people in, because then the big Jen McCabe.
Well, I do appreciate the ebb and flow of a trial, so that you got, so we'll see if tomorrow's going to be kind of easing into the weekend with the big guns next week.
Well, it might actually be good for the jury too. They're getting out of the courtroom. It's not as so much information coming into your brain. I'm one of those people, I can't take too much in all at once. So it might be good for them to have a little lull before Satan's spawn comes in, because that's going to be a lot.
That would be Jen McCabe, I believe.
Yeah, Jen
okay.
McCabe.
All right then. Okay, Meatball Morrissey, Scanny Stain, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Nice little picture there of your friend. Okay, so we'll check in with you tomorrow. Justice Serve TV, Linda Kenny Bodden, wishing her the best as she handles some things she needs to take care of. And we will see you again tomorrow from this part of the Massachusetts world.